Okay, so welcome to our P3 Maths class. This is what you have learned in primary 2, so you need to know, okay? Fraction is used to represent a part of a whole, correct? So for example, you have one whole circle over here, one whole pizza. We are going to cut the circle into 3 equal parts, okay? So let's cut it out. Hiya, there we go. Now, I am going to shade one out of the 3 parts over here. And then we will say that the figure is 1/3 of the figure is shaded because it's 1 out of 3 parts that's being shaded, correct? So again, if you're experiencing any technical difficulties, can you see my video? Can all of you see my video? Can you see the shaded part? Yes. Okay. So if you cannot see or you cannot hear, please kindly rejoin the lesson. Okay. All right. Because majority of you has no problems with the thing. So if you're experiencing any technical difficulties, one more time, please kindly rejoin the lesson. Okay, it says primary 2, yes, because this is a recap from your primary 2 level, okay? And then I'm going to go on to primary 3 level of fractions, all right? So this is a recap. So by primary 2, you would have learned how to tell me what fraction of the figure is shaded or what fraction of the figure is not shaded, okay? All right, of course, then let's do a quick recap to be sure that you guys are very familiar with what you have learned in primary 2, okay? So before we start, can I do a testing for the options itself? Can I do the testing? So I'm going to launch the option. This is no question, okay? So this is 0 bubbles. You will not get any bubbles. I just want to make sure that you guys can see the options. If you guys cannot see the options, what do you need to do? If you guys cannot see the options, what do you need to do? You have to rejoin. Thank you very much, Jashan. You have to rejoin the lesson, okay? So I'm going to launch the options in 3, 2, 1. Again, this is not any question. This is not any question. Not any bubble question, so you would not be getting any bubbles for this one. Just want to do a test, okay, a testing so that you guys can actually see the options, okay? So if you guys cannot see, cannot click, please rejoin. The answer is 1. Usually the testing, the answer is always 1. Okay, you got it correct, but 0 bubbles. Okay, we have about 30 more seconds. So for those of you who have not clicked or has just joined, if you see the options, can you please kindly click on any of the options to make sure that the floating system works on your side as well. Okay, Tora, can I see? Moderator, can you see my screen? Can you hear me? I have students who say that they cannot see my screen. Yes, okay. So can you please send in a message again if they're experiencing any technical difficulties? Can you get them to rejoin, please? Okay, and time's up. I see majority of you managed to click on the option, so no problem. Okay, all right. So let's go on to my first recap question for P2. Can you tell me what fraction of the figure below is shaded? Are you ready? 30 seconds. And let's go. If you cannot see, please kindly rejoin the lesson, okay? Please make sure you're in by the app or by the Geniebook website itself. I see majority of you have already clicked in the correct answer, so well done, well done. Okay, so let's take a look over here. 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds. Hi, Jamie, hello. Well done, Wei-Ming. Well done, Ryan. That is the correct answer. I hope you get your bubbles. Yeah. Okay, majority of you got the correct answer. Some of you give me 1/3. 1/3 was in the recap, right? This one is a different question over here. So let's take a look. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts over here, and 1 out of 4 parts is shaded. So your answer should be option number 3. Okay, so what fraction of the figure is shaded? Is only 1 out of the 4 parts. Okay, all right, so let's try another one. Just try another one, okay, just to make sure you are very, very sure. What fraction of the figure is shaded? 30 seconds. Options launching in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Count properly, okay, count properly. What fraction of the figure is shaded? Excellent job. Easy question, right? Easy question. 15 more seconds, guys. More. Come on. All of you should be getting this question correct as well. It looks like looks like 3 bubbles. Easy question, yes. Okay. And 5 more seconds. And 3, 2, 1. And time's up. Excellent job. Majority of you got the correct answer. So again, what fraction of the figure is shaded? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We cut this figure into 6 parts and we're going to count the orange color parts, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is 4 out of 6. Yes, you guys are correct. So the answer should be option number 3. Hi, Celeste. Are you ready for one last question? One last question just to make sure that you guys can read the question carefully and understand what the question is asking. Okay, recap question number 3. What fraction of the figure is not shaded? Options launching in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Keyword here, not shaded. Come on, guys, read the question carefully. No. Kevin says no. Again, if you guys are experiencing any technical difficulties, please kindly rejoin the lesson, okay? Okay, I have a handful of you who are giving me the incorrect answer. Never read the question carefully, and time's up. Hello. Okay, too excited, guys. Question is asking what fraction of the figure is not shaded. So we have to count the white color parts. Okay, the orange color part is the shaded part. Yeah, so we're gonna count 1, 2, 3. It's 3 out of 8 parts over here. Okay, so the answer should be option number 2, not option number 3. Okay, all right. Okay, any questions so far? Everybody clear with what fraction actually represents? Just part of the figure that is being shaded. Okay. So far, the first 3 questions over here, we are doing a recap on what you have learned in P2. So today in P3 fractions, we are going to learn something a little bit different, okay? All right, understanding what does simplest form mean, and of course, to find equivalent fraction. Do you guys already know what the simplest form mean and what does equivalent fraction mean? Some of you say yes, some of you say no. So for those of you who have already learned, again, rule number 1, please be patient and understanding. Okay, so today's lesson is not very difficult. Okay, it's a reintroduction to fraction and finding its simplest form and finding its equivalent fraction. So I need you guys to pay attention so that you can understand. Okay, so if you guys are experiencing any technical difficulties, please kindly rejoin the lesson. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at the first one. What does simplest form mean? Based on the definition itself, a fraction is said to be in its simplest form if the numerator and the denominator cannot be divided by the same number any further. Okay, it is the simplest form or the smallest number that you can actually divide your numerator and denominator into. Okay, what do I mean by this? So let's take a look over here. Okay, let's take a look at this fraction. We have half. Okay, so if I were to color half, we know that, hold on, let me lighten this one so that we can compare. Okay, so we have half of the figure is shaded, correct? Half of the figure is shaded. This one you guys know. Now, what if I have this fraction of 2 over 4? 2 over 4. So if I were to color it, okay, I'll have 2 out of 4 parts, correct? Good afternoon, Anthony. 2 out of 4 parts. Now, what do you realize between this and this? Are they actually the same? They are the same, right? Correct? They are the same, correct? But if I move my shaded part over here, let me show you what do I mean by the same. If I move my shaded part over here, do you see that the fraction that is being shaded is exactly the same? Can you guys see that? It is the same, correct? It is the same. So let me remove this one over here. All right. So then my question to you would be this. How come this fraction is 1 over 2 and this fraction is 2 over 4? If they are the same, how do I make them the same? How do I make them the same? Times 2? Divide by 2? You did not know that? Okay. Yes, we need to divide by 2. So if you realize that, oh, when I draw a circle and I divide it into the the number of parts stated to me in the fraction, and if I shade them accordingly, I realize that these two fractions, the shaded part is exactly the same, right? That means half of it is shaded. When I say 2/4 is also half of the figure that's being shaded. So how do I make 2/4 to become 1/2? How do I do that? How do I do that? I need to divide by 2. Excellent job. As the definition suggests, you have to divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number such that they can no longer be divided, okay? So if I want to change this to half, I need to divide the numerator by 2. I need to divide the denominator by 2. They have to be divided by the same number. Okay, so in this case, what is the simplest form of 2/4? 2/4 in its simplest form is actually half. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try another one and see this one. We have 3/6. Okay, so I have a figure over here and I'm going to cut it into 6 parts. I'm going to shade 3 out of the 6 parts. So we have 1, 2, and 3. What do you guys realize also? It is also the same. Excellent job. Okay, it is also the same. That means 3/6 is also equals to half. But how do I make 3/6 to be half? I need to divide by 3. Excellent job. Okay, I need to divide by 3. Okay, so realize that you have to divide by the same number over here. Okay, any questions so far? Any questions so far? How do you know how to, sorry, I have a question, hold on. How do we know it have to be divided by 2 or another number? That is a very good question, okay? Technically, if we want to find the simplest form of a fraction, we need to divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number. For example, let me write over here. If I have 10/20, how do you know what number to divide? If you do not know, it is okay. We can always start dividing by the number 2. Okay, any number divided by the number 1 will give you its original number, correct? So even if I divide by 1, you'll still get 10/20. So what does it mean by the numerator and denominator cannot be divided by the same number any further? Any further, that means it has to be the smallest possible number, okay? So what happens if I divide by 2 and I divide by 2? What do I get? What do I get? 10 divided by 2 will give me 5, correct? And then 20 divided by 2 will give me 10, okay? Correct? Now, then 5/10, what do you guys think? Can it be divided by a certain number further? Do you think there's a common number between 5 and 10 that both of them can be divided by? What number would that be? 2? Can I divide by 2 again? Can 5 divide by 2 again? No, right? 5 cannot be divided by 2, right? Okay, but 5 can be divided by 5. Can 10 be divided by 5? Can 10 be divided? Yes, okay. So in this case, we are going to divide by 5 and we are going to divide by 5. And in this case, we will get half. Okay, so this is what it means by dividing the numerator and the denominator by the same number until they cannot be divided anymore. 1/2 cannot be divided by any number anymore. They can only be divided by 1. Okay, so in other words, what you guys realize that you have 2 and 4. 4 is a multiple of 2. Is that correct? 4 is a multiple of 2. You can. Xiangzhe, you can. Let me go through that in a bit. Okay, 4 is a multiple by 2. That means 2 can be divided by 2. 4 can also be divided by 2. 3/6. 6 is a multiple of 3. That means 3 times 2 will give you 6. Okay, in your 3 timetable, 6 will appear. So 3 divided by 3 will give you 1. 6 can also be divided by 3 to give you 2. Somebody asked me, why can't I take 10/20 divided by 10? You can do that. Okay, if you know that 20 is a multiple of 10, that means 10 can be divided by 10, 20 can be divided by 10, you can straight away divide them by 10. Okay, But this one is if, for example, you're not sure, okay, if the number is very, 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 very big and you're not sure what you can divide by, you can always start with dividing by 2. Can 10 be divided by 2? Can 20 be divided by 2? Can, then let's do that, okay? If you cannot, then think about it. Can 10 be divided by 3? Can 20 be divided by 3? If cannot, you move on to the next number, okay? So you have to divide it, the numerator and the denominator, again and again and again by the same number until you can no longer divide them. So somebody asked me, what about 3 over 7? It's going to get a little bit messy over here. What about 3 over 7? Can I divide 3 and 7 by the same number? What do you guys think? Yes or no? No, correct? Because 3 can be divided by 3, but 7 cannot be divided by 3. And then 7 is not a multiple of 3, so there's no way 7 can be divided by 3. Okay, so in this case, this one, 3 over 7 is already in its simplest form. Okay, that means the numerator and the denominator cannot be divided by the same number anymore. Okay? How to divide a fraction? To divide a fraction, we have not learned division of a fraction yet. What we are doing now is finding the simplest form. In order for you to find the simplest form, you just need to take the number on top, divide by a certain number, the number in the denominator, divide by a certain number. That's all. Okay? You do not need to divide fractions yet. Okay? You do not need to learn how to divide fractions yet. Okay? This is to tell you that 3 over 6 is actually half. 2 over 4 is actually half. 10 over 20 is actually half. 5 over 10 is also half. We have so many different types of fraction, but ultimately, it's still half of the figure that is being shaded. So how do you know that? You have to find the simplest form. Okay, so let's try. All right, let's have a better understanding of this one. Okay, we are going to express the following fraction in its simplest form. So I have a fraction of 6 over 24 in this case, 6 over 24. And if I want to put it in its simplest form, I have to divide the number on top and the number in the denominator with the same number. What do you guys think I should divide it with? What do you guys think? Find a common factor, that is correct, okay? But factor and multiples is something that you only learn in P4. Some of you say divided by 4. Is it possible? Let's try. We have 6 over 24. Question number 1, can 6 be divided by 4? No, 6 cannot be divided by 4. In your 4 timetable, you do not have 6, okay? You can divide by 2 first, okay? You can divide by 2 first, okay? So let's try. Let's do one step at a time, okay? If we divide it by 2 and divide by 2, what do you guys get? 6 divided by 2, let's do the numerator first. 6 divided by 2 is equals to 3. How about 24 divided by 2? 12. Thank you very much. Now, 3 and 12. Do you think each of them can be divided by the same number again? Do you think? No? 3. Yeah, something you cannot do too. You go to the next number, 3. Okay? 3 can be divided by 3. 12 can also be divided by 3, isn't it? Yes, we can divide further. So if 3 divided by 3, we get 1. 12 divided by 3, we will get 4. Now we have 1 over 4. Can we divide any further? Can we divide any further? No. So what would our simplest form be? What would our simplest form be? 1 over 4. Excellent job. Okay. Another trick for you guys to know that the moment you reach a numerator of 1, it is 100% in the simplest form already. But not all simplest form will definitely have a numerator of 1. Okay, like 3 over 7, it is the simplest form, but it does not have a numerator of 1. Okay, anything with 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 4, and so on, all these are already in its simplest form. Okay, all right. Yes, you can also divide by 6. You realize that 2 times 3 is equals to 6. This means that you can take 6 over 24. If you're very familiar with your multiplication table of 6, you can divide by 6 and divide by 6. you will still get 1/4. Okay? If you're not very sure, if you're not very good in your multiplication table, like I mentioned, start small. You can also start small. If let's say if I want to divide by 3, can you do that? Can you do that? Let's try, okay? Let's try, okay? 6/24, we're going to divide by 3. Because 6 appears in your 3 timetable, 24 also appears in your 3 timetable, right? What do you get? 6 divided by 3 is equals to 2. And 24 divided by 3 is equals to 8. Then you realize that 2/8 still can divide further, right? 2 can be divided by 2. And 8 can also be divided by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is equals to 1. 8 divided by 2 is equals to 4. You realize that, hey, you will always get the same answer. So it does not matter which one you divide by first. It does not matter. As long as you divide until you can no longer divide by the same number. Okay? All right, so shall we try our bubble question? For those of you who are still a little bit confused, don't worry. I will help you out over here, okay? All right, so let's take a look over here. Can you please express the following fraction in its simplest form? Okay, so we have 5 and we have 15, 5/15 over here. So we are going to divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number until they can no longer be divided. So what will you divide by? Let's help your friends out a little bit. Divide by the number 5. Okay, so I'm going to help you guys out. Once you divide by the number 5, you realize that your numerator will already be 1. So this would be your simplest form already, okay? Now you guys need to find out what the denominator would be. Options, launching in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Divide properly, okay? Divide until you can no longer divide. Excellent job. This one I'll give 1 minute. I think the next one you guys can try it by yourself. Okay? If you cannot see, please kindly rejoin the lesson. I have a lot of you managed to key in the correct answer as well. Yes, please do rejoin and see. Okay, 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. Megan, we'll do a couple more questions, okay? So hopefully you'll get a better understanding over through the question. If you're still not very clear at the end of the lesson, you can stay back and I'll explain to you again, okay? It is a bit easy, okay? Simplest form is just understanding that you need to divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number until you can no longer divide them, okay? So I see majority of you got the correct answer. So in this case, 5 and 15. 15 is a multiple of 5, means it can be divided by 5. So 5 divided by 5 will give me 1. 15 divided by 5 will give me 3. So your answer would be option number 1. Okay, to divide by the same number until you can no longer divide. Okay, let's try the next one. Also another bubble question. Express the following in fraction in its simplest form. We have 3/18. We know that 3 cannot divide by 2. So let's ignore the division of 2. Can 3 be divided by 3? If yes, can 18 be divided by 3? Okay, once your numerator hits the number 1, you know that it's definitely the simplest form. You have 1 minute to do so, okay? Options launching in 3, 2, 1. Give you more than enough time. Okay, so 3/18. Think about it. We know that 3 cannot be divided by 2. We know that 3 can be divided by 3. So we are going to divide by 3. If the numerator divides by 3, the denominator has to be divided by 3 as well. Okay? So 3 divided by 3 is equals to 1. What is 18 divided by 3? Bauman, if you divide by 1, you notice that you will get the same answer. Okay, you get the same answer. So the moment that if both numerator and denominator can only be divided by 1, means that you have already reached your simplest form. Okay, means it cannot be divided anymore. Okay, you have about 5 more seconds, guys. And 3, 2, 1, and stop. Yeah, excellent job, majority of you got the correct answer. So what is 18 divided by 3? Yes, we need to divide by 3. 18 divided by 3 is equals to 6. So your answer would be option number 2. Okay? So this is what I mean by the simplest form. Now, so far, when you guys divide, you can divide by the number in the numerator, correct? You can divide by the number in the numerator, meaning to say that you will definitely get a numerator of 1. Now, let's take a look over here. Express the following fraction in its simplest form. We have 6 over 10. If I divide 6, the numerator divided by 6, can the denominator be divided by 6? Cannot. Cannot, correct? Cannot. So how do we do this one? In this case, you realize that the simplest form will not have a numerator of 1. So 6 over 10. Must divide by 2. Excellent job. Must divide by 2. So we've got to divide by 2 and we are going to divide by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is equals to 3. Okay? And then 10 divided by 2 is equals to 5. Then we have 3 and 5. Can 3 and 5 be divided by the same number again? No, correct? Because 3 cannot be divided by 3. 3 can be divided by 3, but 5 cannot be divided by 3. Okay? So your simplest form would be 3 over 5. Okay? Yes. So one thing you can always try is to divide by the number in the numerator first. If you cannot, then you can always divide by any number that's a little bit smaller. If you see numerator and denominator, they are both even number, means you can definitely divide them by 2. All right? You can definitely divide them by 2. Okay? All right, so let's try. Yes, Phoebe, that is correct. In your 3 timetable, you do not have 5. So 5 cannot be divided by 3. Okay, let's try. You're asking for the bubble question already. Express the following fraction in its simplest form. We have 12 and 15. So think about your timetable, okay? Is it in your timetable 2, timetable 3, timetable 4, timetable 5? Which one has a multiple, has the answer 12 and 15 in the timetable appearing? Okay, think about that. Can it be divided by 2? Can 12 and 15 be divided by 2? Can they be divided by 3? Can they be divided by 4? And so on. So I'm going to launch the option. You have 1 minute to think about it. Options launching in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. I see a lot of you got the correct answer already. Okay, let me write this one down. We have 12 over 15. 12 and 15 will both appear in your what timetable? 2 timetable, 3 timetable, 4 timetable. Which one? It will appear in your 3 timetable. Yes, it will appear in your 3 timetable. So we are going to divide by 3 and divide by 3. And once you're done with that, think about it, okay? Whether the next fraction is already in its simplest form or can it still be divided further. You have 20 more seconds. 20 more seconds. Yes, there will be 10 bubble question. Hopefully we will get to that, but I want you guys to be very clear about simplest form and equivalent fractions first. Okay, 5 more seconds. And time's up. And let's see, I see majority of you got the correct answer as well. Okay, so in this case, again, if the number 12 and the number 15 appears in your 3 timetable. Okay, it appears in your 3 timetable means both numbers can be divided by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is equals to 4. And 15 divided by 3 is equals to 5. And then 4 and 5, does it appear in any of your timetable? Only appears in your 1 timetable, correct? Means they can only be divided by 1. Right? So this is your simplest form already. So 4 and 5 cannot be divided any further. So 12 over 15 in its simplest form is equals to 4 over 5. Okay, so of course, just to make sure that you guys are super clear, let's try one more. Express the following fraction in its simplest form. We have 8 over 20. So think about your multiplication table. Which multiplication table has the number 8 and 20? 8 and 20. 2 timetable, 3-term table, 4-term table, 5-term table, then you divide it by that number. Okay, if you think it appears in your 2-term table, you divide by 2. If you divide by 2 already, you look at the fraction. Can it still be divided further? If you can, divide again. Okay? All right. So you have 1 minute to think about it. 1 minute, ready, and let's go. Fifth, yes, I'll go through. I can go through with you. I can go through this with you after class. Okay. Okay, so we have 8/20. Both of them are even numbers, so they can definitely be divided by 2. But is 2 the only number that they can be divided by? Can they be divided by further? Okay. Megan, that's a good step. And then after that, it can be divided further. So look at the numerator, look at the denominator. In which multiplication table did the two numbers appear again? Iris, that is correct. Okay, you have about 10 more seconds, guys. Venna, that is correct. Well done. Lenise, that is correct. Why, Nikela? Why is your heart pounding? So scared. Don't be scared, okay? All right. Yes, okay, so a lot of you tell me it can be divided by 2, but is there a bigger number that both 8 and 20 can be divided by? 4. Yes, they both appear in your 4 timetable as well. Okay, but let's do both. Okay, let's do both. When you divide by 2, why is it that both of them will give you the same answer? Okay, 8 divided by 2 will give you 4, 20 divided by 2 will give you 10, you have 4 over 10. Then you realize that, hey, 4 and 10, they are both even numbers also, right? Again, when I mentioned if they are even numbers, means they both can be divided by 2. So they can divide further. Divided by 2, divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is equals to 2, 10 divided by 2 is equals to 5. So the simplest form would be 2/5. And then you realize that 8 and 20 also appears in your 4 timetable. So when we take 8/20, we divide it by 4, divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is equals to 2. 20 divided by 4 is equals to 5. You realize that, oh, it's also 2/5. It's also 2/5. Yes, if you divide by 4, it is shorter. If you can divide by a bigger number, you will save a bit of time. But for now, I want you guys to understand what the simplest form means. You just need to divide until you can no longer divide. So if you do divide by 2, then divide by 2, you will still get the correct answer. Okay? Then you realize that 2 times 2 is equals to 4. Is equals to 4. So 8 and 20 can be divided by the number 4. Okay? All right. So everybody okay with simplest form already? So in other words, simplest form just means to divide until you cannot divide any further. Okay? Now, understanding simplest form is one thing. Let's go on to equivalent fraction. Okay, what does equivalent fraction mean? Equivalent fractions are fractions with the different numerators and denominators, but they represent the same value or proportion of a whole. Just like when I mentioned half is equals to 2/4 is equals to 3/6. That means half, 2/4, and 3/6. They are all equivalent fraction. Equivalent just means another word for same. Means they have the same part being shaded. Okay, let me explain further. So for example, let's take a look over here. Today we have 1/3, right? We have 1/3. So I have my figure over here. I'm going to shade 1/3 of this. Okay, 1/3. Now, if I have another fraction, 2/6. 2/6. I'm going to shade 2/3 parts. What do you realize when I move this in? What do you guys realize? They are the same. They are the same. Okay, so 1/3 and 2/6, they are the same. Means these two, even though the numerator and the denominator is not the same, they are equivalent fraction because they have the same number of parts or the same part being shaded. Okay, this portion is shaded, this portion is also shaded. Okay, the area in which that the amount is shaded is exactly the same, means that they have the same, they are equivalent fraction. Okay, so 1/3 is actually the simplest form of 2/6. So if I want to make them the equivalent fraction, I have to divide by the same number, or I can multiply. Okay, so in other words, if I'm going to take this times 2 and this times 2, I will get 2/6. Meaning to say every part, I just need to split into 2 parts. And then now I have my fraction 2/6. Okay, but of course, does it mean that 1/3 is the same as 3/6? Do they mean the same thing? No, because 3/6 over here, if I were to color 3/6, right? Let's say this one. Then I'm going to move this in. You realize that they are no longer the same. That means 3/6 is actually bigger than 1/3. Okay? So you have to take into consideration the numerator as well. So 2/6 is the same as 1/3. So let's try one more. Okay, just to have a better understanding. So same thing over here. Let's compare half, 2/4, and 3/8. Sorry, not 3/8. I need to change this to... Hold on, let me change this to 4/8. Okay, so let's compare our parts over here. We are going to shade them. Let's shade them together. Okay, half, 1/2. Hold on, give me a moment. 1/2, 2/4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/8. Okay, 4/8. Then you realize that if I move everything together, this is half. I move this to here. This is also half. Okay, means that they are all equivalent. They all mean the same thing. Yes, you guys know that they are all the same, but they have different numerators and different denominators. Okay, so half is equals to 2/4 is equals to 4/8. We just need to do our division, or we need to do our multiplication. If I want to change from half to 2/4, how do I do that? I need to times 2. If I want to change half to 4/8, what do I need to do? I need to times 2 also. Half to 4/8 times 4, yes. Okay. So if I want to change this to 2/4, sorry, let me remove this 4. Means I need to times 2, I need to times 2. Okay, but if I want to change half to 4/8, means I need to times 4, I need to times 4. So for equivalent fraction, we need to do a multiplication of the same number or a division of the same number. Okay, the difference between equivalent fraction and simplest form means it can only be one possible answer, which is the smallest possible number. Equivalent fraction can go on forever. So after 4/8, I can times 2 again. I can get 8/16. That is also an equivalent fraction. I can get 5/10. 5/10 is the same as half, which is also an equivalent fraction. Okay? In order for you to identify whether 2/4 and 4/8 is an equivalent fraction, they must have the same simplest form. Understand? To identify whether one fraction and another fraction is an equivalent fraction, they must share the same simplest form. Okay? So your number can be very different. Okay? For example, if I have 5/10 and I have 4/8, there's almost no way you can multiply or divide such that 5 can become 4 and 10 can become 8. Correct? But if you divide them until they can no longer be divided, you notice that this one, when you divide by 5 is equals to half, You divide by 4 is equals to half. They both have the same simplest form, means that they are an equivalent fraction. Yes. Okay? So this part, you guys need to do a little bit more practice. Okay, so let's try together. Now, if I want you to fill in the missing number, it means I want you to find an equivalent fraction of 4 over 10. 4 over 10 is the same as 2 over what? Okay, let me erase this part here. So from here to here, we need to divide by 2. Again, finding simplest form equivalent fraction, we need to divide or multiply by the same number, means we need to divide by 2 as well. Okay, so in this case, your answer would be 5. Excellent job. This one would be 5. So 4 over 10 is the same as 2 over 5. If you're not very clear, let's take a look over here. 4 over 10. Let me shake for you guys. We have 1, 2. Let me change this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have 2 over 5. Let's move them in and see. Do they occupy the same amount of space? Yes. Okay, yes. All right. So means you have to divide or multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So let's try again. Let's start with the division part first. Let's try. If I want you to find me an equivalent fraction of 9 over 12, 9 over 12, you're given that the numerator in this case, we can, from 9, we're going to change to 3. Means we need to divide by how many? Divide by 3. Thank you very much, Esther. We got to divide by 3. Means your denominator has to be divided by 3 as well. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to launch my option. Ready? Ready? Let's go. Excellent job. Yeah, so you have to divide the numerator and the denominator with the same number. Okay, that's how you can definitely be sure that they are of the equivalent fraction. They mean the same thing. Well done. Hi, Clarice. Well done, Isabel. Well done, Belle. Well done, Ling, Emanuela. Excellent job. See, majority of you got the correct answer. Okay, we have about 20 more seconds. Wait, well done, we mean. Yes, Tom, you have a question? You have a question? You can type it in the chat, please. Nicola didn't get the correct answer. It's okay. Yes, Vanna, you can multiply or divide. It depends on what is given to you in the other fraction. Okay, so in this case, the other fraction, one is given to you is that the numerator, it changes from 9 to 3. So in order for you to get from 9 to 3, you need to divide by 3. So in this case, we need to take 12 divided by 3, we will have 4. Okay, so again, we can always double check over here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's equals to, is it equals to 3 over 4? So let's move. And you realize that, oh, they occupy the same amount of space. Okay. All right. So 9 over 12 is the same as 3 over 4. Okay. 3 over 4. So your answer would be option number 4. Let's try one more. Let's try this one. 12 over 18 is equals to 4 over what? It's equals to 4 over what? So from 12 to 4, we need to divide by a certain number. Then you are going to divide this by the same number as well. Okay, so you give it a try now. Options starting in 3, 2, 1. So I think most of you understand it a little bit better already. You have to divide by the same number. Okay. Excellent job. Well done, well done. You have more than enough time, okay? You still have 40 more seconds for those of you who need a little bit of time. So first, identify from 12. How can I make 12 become 4? I need to divide by a certain number. I need to divide by a certain number. Well done, Phoebe. 56612, that's a very good observation. But since now we are talking about equivalent fraction, it does not necessarily mean we need to find the simplest form. Okay? All right, 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds. You guys can do it. Can't see the question. Please kindly rejoin the lesson. Okay, please. Hello. Hi, Jobel. And time's out. See, a lot of you got the correct answer. Excellent job over here. So what do you guys do? Divide? Yes, we have to divide by the same number. Uniquitous? Uniquitous? Yes. Divide by 3. Yes, we are going to divide by 3. Then we are going to divide by 3 over here. Okay, so let's take a look and let's do a quick check. We have, oh, I need to color 12. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's move it together. And you realize that, hey, they occupy the same amount of space. Okay, yeah, so we're going to take 18 divided by 3. Your answer should be 6 over here. Okay, so the answer is option number 2. And then one of your friends did point out that, oh, it is not the simplest form. Do you guys want to give it a try? 4 over 6. What is the simplest form of 4 over 6? 4 over 6. 4 and 6 both can be divided by 2. So it should be 2 over 3. Excellent job, guys. It should be 2 over 3. Meaning to say, I can actually remove this line, and this line over here. Then you realize that it's 2 out of 3 parts that is being shaded. Yeah, okay, so that's the simplest form. Okay, but now again we are asking for the equivalent fraction. So which fraction would have the same number of parts shaded as well? Okay, so now just now we've been doing division. Now let's go on to multiplication. So in this case, fill in the missing number. 3 over 5 is one of the fraction. What is an equivalent fraction of 3 over 5? You are given the denominator. So we are going to change from 5 all the way to 10 over here. Means we are going to multiply by 2. If we multiply the denominator by 2, we have to multiply the numerator by 2 as well. Yes, you guys got it already. So let's take a look over here. What do I mean by this one? Let's have a better understanding. Okay, so I have 1, hold on, this one. If I have 1, 2, 3 parts that's being shaded. Now, if I want to multiply by 10, from 5 becomes 10, means I'm going to increase the number of parts over here, right? That means every part I need to times 2. Every part I need times 2 means, ta-da! Can you see each part now becomes 2? Yes, we have to draw more lines. Thank you very much. We have to draw more lines. And then how many parts is shaded? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it's 3 times 2 will give you the answer of 6. Okay, so let's give the next one a try. So I think a lot of you got a better understanding of this already. So please tell me, what is the equivalent fraction of 3 over 4, given that now instead of 4 parts, I want you to divide it into 12 equal parts. Okay, options launching in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Thank you, Jobel. Excellent job. Wow, so many of you got the correct answer already so fast. Excellent job. Well done. Okay, so from here to here, you multiply by what number? You have to multiply the same by with the numerator as well. So while you guys are waiting, let me just color in the fraction and let's do a double check. Okay, so give me a moment. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to divide it into 12 parts. Means each part I need to multiply by how many? So the numerator must multiply by how many? Well done, Yang. And times are, so what number, what's the magic number you guys multiply by? What's the magic number? From 4 to 12, you need to multiply by 3. Excellent job. Multiply by 3. So numerator multiplied by 3. Your answer should be option number 2. Let's just do a quick check. Means now each part I need to divide into 3 equal parts. Okay, ta-da! And let's count together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 3 over 4 is the same as 9 over 12. Okay. One more. Shall we try one more? And earn some more bubbles? Okay, so 2 over 3 is the same as what over 18? So you need to multiply the numerator and the denominator with the same number. I can launch already, right? You have 1 minute, more than enough time to do so. Options launching in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, so in the meantime, let me just color this for you guys. 2 out of 3 parts. Okay, so now that I have to divide the whole thing, instead of having only 3 parts, I want to divide all into 18 parts. That means each part I need to divide further by how many? Okay, so from here to here, you multiply by what number? You have to do the same for the numerator as well. Have about 25 more seconds. 25 more seconds. Beverly, no, I do not. 10 more seconds. Thinking. 5 more seconds. And time's up. Let's take a look over here. So what's the magic number you guys multiply by? 3 to 18. 3 times what give you 18? 6. Thank you very much, Esther. We got to multiply by 6. So numerator must times 6 as well. So 2 times 6 is equals to 12. Let's do a check. Okay, so means each part I have to split into 6 smaller parts over here. Okay, so then you realize that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 2 over 3 is the same as 12 over 18. Both of them are equivalent fractions. Okay? All right, so now I know you guys want a little bit more bubble question. So I'm gonna up a little bit, okay? So let's take a look over here. Let's try this one first. This is not a bubble question, just to understand. Then I'm gonna give you a bubble question because I always have to explain first, okay? Which of the following is equivalent to 3 over 4? Now that you're given a fraction 3 over 4, I did not give you the numerator, I did not give you the denominator. You are to identify which one, 4 over 8, 8 over 12, 13 over 16, or 15 over 20 is the same as 3 over 4. What do you guys think? So let me explain, okay? So you have 3 out of 4, correct? Then what do I need to do? Let me show you all my fractions over here. Okay, and let's color them. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So which of the following is the same as 3 over 4? 15 over 20. Excellent job, 15 over 20. So how do you guys do that before I show you this one? How do you guys do that? Do you find the simplest form or do you do a multiplication? In other words, you can do multiplication or you can also do simplest form, okay? So I think it's easier for you if you guys can change all of this at the bottom of here into the simplest form. So this one is the same as, can you tell me what's the simplest form of 4 over 8? 4 over 8. 2 over 4. Can we divide further? Half. If you see based on the image itself, based on the figure itself, you know it is half. Okay, so you can divide by 4. You can divide by 4 also. Okay, how about 8 over 12? It appears in your what timetable? 2 over 3. Thank you very much. It appears in your 4 timetable. So you can divide it by 4. You can also divide this by 4. You get 2 over 3. How about 13 over 16? Can you divide anymore? Cannot. So this is already the simplest form. Okay, 13 over 16 is the simplest form. How about 15 over 20? Both of it can be divided by 5. They both appear in your 5 timetable, correct? So you divide by 5, you divide by 5, you will get 3 over 4, and then you realize that, hey, these two fractions are the same. So this one is your equivalent fraction. Okay? So now you try. Try this one. Which of the following is equivalent to 2 over 12. Now this one is very nice because your denominators given to you here is all 6. So what you can do is you can make the denominator to be 12. Or you can make this denominator to be 6 and then you can compare. Okay? Options launching in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So many of you got the same answer already. Okay? You can make this denominator and this denominator to be the same. Then you can compare. You have 1 more minute. Okay? Okay. All right. Jake, not sure. Some of you are not very sure. Let's ignore this one over here first. Let's make all of this to be over 12. You want it to be the same. Okay? After you change all this to be over 12, one of it will have the same numerator as this one. So which one would it be? Which one would that be? Okay, so you have about 20 more seconds. For those of you who have not keen your answer yet, 20 more seconds. 10 more seconds, guys. Megan, why? And time's up. So let's take a look over here, okay? So the first thing we need to do is to make the denominator to be the same. So from 6 to 12, we need to multiply by 2, okay? Multiply by 2. So 1 times 2 will give you 2, right? Everything you need to multiply by 2. 2 times 2 is equals to 4. 3 times 2 is equals to 6. And 4 times 2 is equals to 8. Question is asking for 2 over 12. So this should be your correct answer, which is option number 1. Okay, so that's one way in which you can find your equivalent fraction. We still have a little bit more time. Let's do one more for another 10 bubbles. Okay, one more. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Which of the following is equivalent to 4 over 6? This one is a little bit more confusing now because the denominators are no longer the same. So what you can do is to always find the simplest form. You can find the simplest form. Okay, 1.5 minutes. Let's go. Give this a try. See, a lot of you got the correct answer already. You guys can give it a try, okay? So I can help you out with the first one over here. If you want to make this and this to be the same, you can always change the denominator to be the same and see whether the numerator is the same or not. Okay? So in this case, let's make it over 6. Times 2 times 2. You have 2 over 6. This is 4 over 6. So obviously this one cannot be the correct answer anymore. 2 over 6 is not the same as 4 over 6. 3 over 7 and 4 over 6, what do you guys think? Think about it. Okay, so I can tell you option number 1 is not the correct answer. So you're left with option number 2, 3, and 4. Thank you, Joyce. Please give me about 1 more minute to finish up this one, okay? 1 more minute. Have about 20 more seconds. Which of the following is equivalent to 4 over 6? 4 over 6. 5 more seconds. And time's up. All right. So I see majority of you got the correct answer. So how do you get this one? Can you tell me how do you guys get this one? 3 over 7 and 4 over 6, they are not equivalent fraction because there's no way you can make your denominator to be the same. Okay? 6 and 7 cannot. Okay, so this one, no. Okay, so what you can do is you can try to change this to over 6. By dividing it by 2 and dividing it by 2, you realize that, hey, you have 4 over 6. So option number 3 is the correct answer. Okay? And then when you realize you want to find this one in the simplest form, you divide by 2, you get 7 over 8. So 7 over 8 and 4 over 6 also nowhere near each other. Okay, so in this case, your answer would be option number 3.